Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Friday, February 28th, 2020. I just wanted to talk to you guys for a little bit pertaining to 15-month-old Evelyn Mae Boswell that is currently missing out of Sullivan County. As most of you know who have been following the storyline, there has been a lot of different versions and stories pertaining to who saw her last, when the mother last saw her, the child being with the mother, Angela Boswell, and I don't know what to believe. I don't know who had the child last, and it's a matter of who do you believe? Who do you believe the child was with? Who do you believe had the child last? You know, where was Miss Megan Boswell staying? Was she living with her father with this child up until the day the report was filed? But one can't believe that because the father would have had no reason. Megan's father would have had no reason to file a report because that means you would have seen the child. So you have to ask yourself, who's telling the truth in this story? Tommy Boswell Sr. files this report, which leads to the state doing a welfare check, which leads to an Amber Alert by the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department. The mother says someone has her child. She's fearing this person. It leads to her mother and boyfriend, the mother and boyfriend, being apprehended in North Carolina in an alleged stolen 2007 BMW. Then it leads to a story of the child was with the father in Louisiana, but then we find out the father is stationed in Louisiana and in the military active. Then we get led to Mendota, Virginia, where allegedly that's where the mother was staying in a camper. But then we find out there is no camper in that said town. No one has seen these people, Angela Boswell nor William McLeod. Do we believe the story of the babysitter who name has not been revealed, but do we believe her account that she last saw the baby around the 10th or 11th? Then there's another scenario of a KFC in this small town in North Carolina, Yakinville or whatever it's called. And it's 30 minutes from Wilkesboro. So you ask yourself, what were they doing first in Wilkesboro? And what were they doing at the KFC 30 minutes away from there in this other town? Then there was the issue of the tip of the child being in a pond at Mr. McLeod's family's home, near the family's home, the grandmother's home. And, the neighbor owns the pond. The FBI goes there. Search is inconclusive, which that doesn't sound any better. Then there's a lady giving a statement that's a friend that's talked to her through text messages that I just read an article tonight that she speaks that she thought she believed in her friend Megan at first, but the stories were not lining up, and she feels like she knows where the child is. But she also states that Megan never spoke ill of Evelyn to her. She never seemed overwhelmed as a mother to her, and that Megan, was a lifesaver to her as far as dealing with her son. So perhaps maybe she babysat for this said young lady at one time. It helped her out when she was in a fix. So who do you believe? Do you believe the father, Tommy Boswell, this not seeing the child for 2 months or so? Do you believe this Hunter Wood boyfriend? Do you believe this William McLeod speaking on behalf of Angela Boswell about him only seeing the child 2 times last July, but yet Angela's father, Mr. Jones, his story refutes that because he states that he saw his daughter, Megan, Hunter, the first or second week of February, and the car was given to Angela as a gift from Hunter Wood. So, your daughter was at your home, Mr. Jones, or she was not at your home? Angela was staying there or she wasn't staying there? Because you see, in that statement, you never mentioned seeing the baby. And don't you find that odd? I find that very odd. No mention of the child while your daughter was staying at your home for 2 weeks, and Hunter Wood and Megan Boswell were visiting also daily, you said. Who is telling the truth? Is Tommy Boswell Sr. covering for his daughter? Some of you think it's a grand cover-up to frame Angela Boswell because she has been this not the best mother, perhaps, in lieu of her many arrest records and records dealing with not restraining a child in a car. And then people can look at that and say, well, she doesn't care much about children because she won't even put them in a seatbelt. I don't know what to think of these people. And then tonight, one of my good friends, Ikamel, sent me a shout out, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Ikamel. I appreciate that. On his channel, he uploaded a video tonight, and he showed all the pictures of the key players in this storyline. And I got to see, the first time, a picture of Tommy Boswell Sr. And the first thing I thought was, who the hell is that? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but who the hell was that masked man sitting up there? Dude, you 2 minutes from being dust. That man looked bad. And he's a businessman. Interesting. All these key players, a husband, a wife that is not with a husband, a boyfriend whose grandmother didn't even speak highly of him, deemed him devious, a pawn, tip to a pawn, a tip to Minota, Virginia, the campground, now a sighting at KFC a couple of weeks ago from a girl that worked at KFC who is adamant about her memory. And Wilkesboro and this Yadkinville are 30 minutes apart. What's the stake there? These two unknown places. A babysitter who's not been named, but the sheriff is vouching for this person's testimony, account of last seeing the child around the 10th or the 11th of December, 2019. And then this Miss Christian Arnett, who gives her testimony on thinking Megan is hiding something. Her conversation isn't right. Version she's given is not meshing. Then you look at the news interviews where she's smirking, not really crying. And I notice in the one interview where she says, I'll go to the park. I'll go to Mendota myself. It was something about her eyes that told me this wench is lying because she's smirking like she's trying to make you believe that these people don't believe me, the authorities, that my baby could be up there in Mendota. But I know, and I'll go get her. And it was something about her eyes and the smirk that told me that baby ain't in Mendota. That baby ain't never been to Mendota. And you're lying, and you lying on your mama and that man for whatever reason, implicating them. And maybe they have involvement, I don't know. But I knew she was lying in that interview because it's the way she said it. Because, you know, they always say that about people who like to cry about who they are and what they're about. They don't say it over and over to make you believe it. They say it over and over to convince themselves that it's the truth. Because they know damn well that it ain't. I always remember that. Now those two, the mother and daughter, are locked up in the same jail. Perhaps not in the same side, but they're in there together in the same facility. And you can only imagine what the chitter-chatter is like in there. Where is Evelyn Mae Boswell? When was she last in the custody of Megan Boswell? Did someone help Megan Boswell get rid of the child to another location, living? Or did someone help her dispose of this baby in death? This is the most baffling case since Camille McKinney's case. And I don't want to get myself too wrapped up because I don't like baby stories. I don't like anything pertaining to missing or death pertaining to a child, because a child doesn't ask to be here. They don't ask to come here, and they sure as hell don't ask to pick their parents. And yes, we are all flawed, and most of us live different lives. Everybody don't have the best parents, the best upbringing, but at some point in life, you have to choose your own way and make decent decisions for yourself. And yes, you will fall and make all kinds of mistakes. But neglecting children, abusing children, and murdering children, there is no exception. And there is no room for everybody ain't perfect BS. I heard enough of that with Alabama. And the subject ain't everybody else. The subject is the child. What happened to the child? And with this story, once again, you can't get to the truth because you don't have a beginning. And what I tell you about that? Who is involved in the disappearance of Evelyn Mae Boswell? Is this a grand conspiracy set up by the parents? Is one parent helping the child, Megan Boswell, hide her baby in life or death? Who's involved? Is her brother involved? Who knows? What about the safety of the other children that are living with Mr. Tommy Boswell? Because I don't see that their life would be too grand with all this shenanigans going on. And now Mr. Tommy Boswell looking like a stick out of water, crying about the news being vultures. When you got this ball rolling, sir. You got this ball rolling. And with the behavior of all involved, it may have never got to the light of day by the news about this baby missing and the authorities. People would have mumbled and whispered in the town, I don't ever see her with her baby. But that's as far as it probably would have gone. Because you know what? She would have just said, the baby's down in Louisiana. But of course somebody would have came back and said, nah, that ain't true. That boy's over there. That boy's overseas. He ain't got that baby. Small town talks. They talk a lot. Can't do much in a small town. Can't hide much in a small town. Because most folks can't hold water. And that's the spoken word. I hope this baby is found. But I don't know what to think at this point. But I do believe the mother is complicit in the disappearance of her child. I don't know what they found under that trailer today. The agents had a paper sack. And they found something under the house of that trailer that belongs to the brother, Tommy Jr. And what did they find? I have no idea. Digging in soft dirt. Not good either. This is bad. And we can't even forget about the McLeod situation with the wet feet going to the grandmother's house. William McLeod. Was he in a hotel where water burst? Or had he been waiting in somebody's water? Doing what exactly? And what's all this traveling from town to town in North Carolina? What you and Angela looking for up there? Or what have you lost up there? This is a weird story pertaining to a 15-month-old baby. And most of us who are woke, lucid, we don't think she's alive. And that's a sad thing to have to say. It'd be nice if somebody would just come forward and say, I got the baby. She's been here all along. I just didn't want to return her to those heathens. But I don't see a person risking their livelihood holding a baby out when there's an Amber Alert. And with all the innuendos and speculations, that just wouldn't be a good idea to hold a baby out. Whether you adopted her, paid Megan, or the mother or somebody for money, drugs, whatever. The sensible thing would be to return her over to the authorities and let them assess the situation. I don't know what is going to become of those two locked up, or Mr. McLeod, or the father, Mr. Boswell, but he's only crying and moaning because he knows he sat idly by, watching his daughter walk by without that baby. And something made him call the state. What? I don't know. Maybe it was the whispers. Maybe it was the small town talk. Eventually we will see. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below. And until the next update, I will be back. Sending prayers out for Evelyn May Boswell. Thanks for listening. You all have a safe weekend. Bye-bye.